I'm a few weeks late, but Axel Foley returned on Netflix with Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Here are my thoughts on it. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I talk about a lot of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share what you thought of Beverly Hills Cop 4, also known as Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. If you enjoyed this video, over on my channel, I have more content like it. Click the like button and be sure to subscribe and check out my other content once this video is over. With all that said, let's just get straight into it talking about the good. And to be straight right off the bat, I thought that this film was a solid enough addition to the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, where the first film is obviously this classic movie that everybody loves. It's of course not nearly as good as the first film. The first film is still the best film in the franchise pretty easily. But I thought this film, it hit all the right notes just enough to make for an enjoyable Beverly Hills Cop experience. And it didn't fully quite capture the charm of the original, but it captured just enough for it to be fun and a decent watch in the Beverly Hills Cop world. A large part of that is, of course, Eddie Murphy, who in all these movies is just so charming. He's so fun as the cop, the main cop, Axel Foley, in these movies, where he has a certain charisma, he's arrogant, he's funny, and he's also kind of a bit of a character, more so of a character with an arc in this film than he was in the original Beverly Hills Cop. But no matter how you put it, Eddie Murphy is always charming in these movies, and that stays the same for this movie, even 30 years after Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out. He's still just as charming as ever, and it hit all the right notes when it comes to the music cues and even some nice little callbacks to the original Beverly Hills Cop. It just hit all of these right notes that I thought made for a fun, watchable experience. Also, this one has more of a storyline about fathers trying to connect with the daughters, and it's very formulaic. We've seen this type of film before. We actually got a movie just like this last month or a couple months ago with Garfield, which kind of is about like fathers and sons. And we've gotten several examples of this type of story. But I think this one is a solid enough version of that kind of formula. And it plays the formula right, and once you add in that and the Beverly Hills Cop world as well as the characters, it's a lot of fun with it. And also, another thing about this movie is that even 30 years removed from whenever Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out, this one still has sort of like the magic even of the old characters from the original film, going all the way back to the original film, that return in this movie. There's just so many great shots in the original that they sort of pay homage to in this movie in kind of a way where they make callbacks to the original several times in this movie. A lot of things reminded me of the original. So just in general, I thought this was a fine, solid enough continuation of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise that it managed to actually impress me just a little bit by hitting all the right notes of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise and delivering just a fun time. It's obviously not perfect though, so let's move on to the bad. And things that come to mind with this movie that aren't necessarily that I didn't really like about it is that I think at some point in time in the film, the characters are just a little bit too unlikable. Now, certainly, at the beginning of the movie, not at the beginning of the movie, but throughout the entire film, there's this tension going on between Eddie Murphy, Axel Foley, and his daughter. And there's this tension going on between the two, and their strained relationship. But it's not done in particularly the best way. Like I said before, it's a fairly formulaic story. It does a good enough job at it. But I also think it made both Eddie Murphy and his daughter just a bit too unlikable in the film. And I understand that it is part of their character arc in the film, but it's not in a way that particularly makes me want to, like, just fully root for them. Other thing to talk about here, I thought the main plot and the story didn't really feel like the main focus of the film. It didn't really feel like the thing that was front and center. The thing that was front and center was this relationship going on between Axel Foley and his daughter, and that's really developed throughout this movie, along with this Joseph Gordon-Levitt character who's on the side, and that's a lot more front and center and prominent than the actual story about who the antagonist is, and it didn't quite find the balance as well as the original did. What the original did was that it found sort of the right balance between plot and fun hijinks and characters. And it didn't feel like the fun hijinks and characters undermined the plot, but the plot didn't fully overshadow the fun hijinks and characters. It found that right balance, and this one just didn't fully find its footing, and I think the characters are far more the focus of this film than the actual plot of the movie, and that just makes the plot of it a little bit forgettable. Like, I only saw this movie for, like, last night, and I don't really remember. Like, Kevin Bacon is not one of the more memorable aspects of this movie, which brings me to my last problem here. It's just not a very memorable film. It's a fun enough addition to the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, but do I imagine myself remembering this movie a year or even a month from now? Probably not. As iconic as the original film is, and as memorable as that film is, this one just didn't quite capture all the charm of the original. Overall, I did think this was a good enough follow-up to the franchise, and a good enough long delayed, I shouldn't say long delayed, but a movie that had come out like way after the previous film in the franchise, and it's a good enough film. Overall, it's just a B, and if you like the Beverly Hills Cop films, I do recommend seeing this film. But there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Down below in the comment section. Share what you thought of the film over on my channel. I have more content like this. Check those out right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.